The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Malabon is gearing up for the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines. Let's check in with JC Cosico, who is reporting to us live from Malabon. JC, what's the latest over there?
Charles, Malabon City has chosen 5 sites, mostly schools, to serve as vaccination centers in its own inoculation program. The LGU is vaccinated about 1,100 residents daily, as around 118,000 residents are prioritized to receive COVID-19 shots in the city. These include frontline health workers, senior citizens, and uniformed personnel, among others. Malabon City Health Officer Dr. Roberto Romero says they are open to increasing their vaccine sites depending on the arrival of vaccine supply. Mayor Lalin Oreta seconded this, saying they're also amenable to partnering with the religious sector to use churches as vaccination sites. He adds he is willing to receive the shots to improve vaccine confidence of residents. Based on a survey they conducted, only around 35% of over 1,000 residents are expressed willingness to receive the shots because of fears on its possible side effects. Charles, the department for its part said that the LGU should conduct town hall meetings to improve vaccine awareness of residents. Now, the LGU for its part said that they are going to conduct simulation activities of its own vaccination program this week. Back to you.
Thanks for that, JC. That was JC Cosico reporting live from Malabon. Fishermen in Zambales are raising concerns about China's Coast Guard law. They say this measure will only heighten Chinese aggression, which has already been keeping them out of disputed waters for years. Romel Lopez has the rest of the story.
Efren Coronis is among the fishermen in Masinloc, Zambales who have been able to sail through Scarborough Shoal or Bajo de Masinloc. He has received a boat from the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources as a donation. Fisherfolk in the area now fear of Chinese aggression after the Middle Kingdom passed a new law allowing its Coast Guard to fire on foreign ships that illegally enter their claims.
Mas maganda yung Scarborough pag unang kwan doon maraming isda.
Efren says he can't put his guard down this time around, especially as he himself experienced the Beijing's aggression firsthand. Back in 2015, he says the Chinese Coast Guard used water cannons to disperse them from the shoal.
Naayaw ko nang magpunta dyan. Armas na yan, mabuti kung tubig lang. Ay, kung mabuti kung tubig lang, kaya pwede pa, talusika, tubig lang. Yung bala, wala, patay na.
Several boats are seen floating idly at a private port in Masinloc as more and more fishermen are on the fence about going to Scarborough. Joseph Heruela has not returned to Bajo de Masinloc since May last year. He recalls going home empty-handed after being harassed by the Chinese Coast Guard.
Alanganin na, sir. Kasi ang iunang isipin mo doon, mag-starting kayo ng 200, tapos 200,000, tapos pagdating doon, bawalan kang mangisda, di, paano yun? O kaya di na lang. Total, okay na kami dito sa malapit. Oo, malapit.
Heruela also laments how the government seems to have abandoned them as well.
Sa palagay ko, kung may nagawa sila, dapat noon pa sana. Ay ngayon pa na parang masyado ng masyado ng parang kung sa kuan pa nakabaon na mas husto yung angkor nila doon sa sa Scarborough.
Both fishermen noted that as long as the aggression continues and the lack of solid actions from the government persist, more and more fisher folks will end up with nothing. For News 5, Romel Lopez, we are One News.
The Chinese embassy is denying claims that the Chinese Coast Guard has been harassing Filipino fishermen. In a statement, the Chinese embassy defended the Coast Guard law, saying it is a regular domestic legislation which conforms with international conventions. The embassy further claims that the law does not specifically target any country. It then slammed allegations that China has been flexing muscle against Filipino fishermen. The embassy spokesperson even branded harassment claims as, quote, fake news. Officials from Beijing said Filipinos simply sensationalized the entry of a Chinese scientific survey ship into Philippine waters. They say the vessel did not encroach Philippine territory, but only sought humanitarian shelter in our waters due to unfavorable sea conditions. The embassy also said such malicious and, quote, baseless accusations are unacceptable. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Several progressive groups trooped to the Supreme Court as the SC begins oral arguments on the anti-terror law. To tell us the latest on the ground, we have Dale De Vera. He's reporting to us live from Taft Avenue in Manila. Good afternoon, Dale. What do you have for us?
Charles, after getting postponed and even one attempt to cancel the oral arguments on petition against the anti-terrorism law, it is finally happening this afternoon. Even before it started, several groups joined together to show support for the petitioners who are set to attend today's Supreme Court session. Earlier today, a group of students held a protest action at UP Diliman to what they say is to push back an attempt to obliterate democracy. The group says they also condemn the tagging of several universities in the country as breeding place for terrorists. While here in Padre Faura, groups including lawyers, lawmakers, and laborers have gathered as petitioners prepare to enter the High Court and participate in the oral arguments. Even COVID-19 was not able to stop them from challenging the Republic Act 11479 or the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020, which took effect in July last year. The High Court has consolidated a total of 37 petitions with 21 issues set to be argued on, though only 7 lawyers from the petitioners will be allowed inside. Among the provisions that the en banc wants to discuss is Section 4 that expands the definition of terrorism. Petitioners argue that under the ATL, advocacy, protest, dissent, or mass action may be considered acts of terrorism, though the government earlier said that it is not intended to restrain rights, particularly freedom of speech and of expression. Section 25 of the anti-terror law is also among the issues that will be argued on as petitioners question why the Anti-Terror Council should be given the power to designate a person or a group as a terrorist, allowing enforcers to bypass the courts. Petitioners also raised the question on the number of days a person may be locked up under Section 29 or detention without judicial warrant of arrest. At present, when the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus is suspended, the Constitution only allows a 3-day detention, much shorter than what the new law prescribes. Recall that a test case has already been filed against 2 ITAs in Zambales. Charles, in less than an hour, the oral arguments at the Supreme Court will start. Charles?
Thanks for that, Dale. That was Dale De Vera reporting to us live from Taft Avenue in Manila. The Transport Department faced the public in a virtual presser to give updates on the status of various road projects and policies. These include details of the implementation of the Child Safety on Motor Vehicles Act, as well as the Motor Vehicle Inspection System. Gerard de la Peña joins us live from Valenzuela to give us more information on this. Gerard, good afternoon. We reported earlier that there will be no apprehension just yet for those who violate the Child Safety on Motor Vehicles Act. Is this still the plan?
Yes, Charles, that's right. There's no apprehensions at this time. Technically, today is the first day of the implementation of this law, but the Transportation Department and the LTO said that they will give about 6 months for the public to adjust and to get more information regarding this law. So right now there will be no apprehensions, and violators will not be asked to pay fines if they are found violating this new law. Charles.
Right, Gerard, but then this is not a new law, as I understand. How did authorities come up with the implementing rules back then? Was there a proper consultation with regards to its implementation back then as well as now?
Yes, Charles, that's right. As the Department of Transportation mentioned this morning, they said that the implementing rules and regulations for this law were not drafted overnight. they did a lot of consultations with motorists and parents in order to come up with the specifics of the implementation of this law. So yeah, so that's what they're doing right now. They are still trying to disseminate the information so that the public can adjust to this new law. Sorry.
All right, fast forward 6 months, Gerard. What would be the possible penalties for violators after this grace period?
Well, Charles, the violation if for motorists who fail to comply with this law is at least 1,000 pesos of fines. I don't have the specifics right now as to the fines for the second and third offenses, but the fines will not be lower than 1,000 pesos. Charles.
Right. Let's talk about that other policy. What's the difference between these motor vehicle inspection centers and the emission testing centers that are already in place? I mean, what are the additional steps that everybody needs to take?
Well, Charles, the LTO explained a while ago that there's a big difference between the motor vehicle inspection system and the emission testing that most motorists are used to as of the moment. Well, emission testing is just emission testing, and it's just a part of the motor vehicle inspection system. MVIS is more encompassing because this entails inspection of the entire vehicle, not just the emission, but also the brakes, the alignment of the wheels, the condition of the wheels, among many others. So the MVIS is much more encompassing, and the LTO said that this is much more effective in determining if a motor vehicle is indeed roadworthy.
Right. Talking about these vehicle inspection centers, Gerard, how many of these actually are in existence? And is the DOTR planning to add some more?
Charles, right now there are more than 10 of these nationwide, and here in Metro Manila, there is one in Manila. I forgot the other one. There's another one here in NCR, but the other one is in Manila area. And nationwide, they are planning to establish more than 100 of these, and they are now in the process of publishing and calling out various private sector groups to establish these kinds of centers for our motorists. So they are expecting that within the year they will be able to build more so that the implementation of this new policy will be much more effective. Charles.
Right, I suppose these policies will be put to the test over the next few months. Thank you, Gerard de la Peña, reporting to us live from Valenzuela. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join Sean Yao later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.